Hello everyone, my name is Rudochi Famba and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about all things projects. Well, maybe not all things projects, but many things projects. So last week I mentioned that the next video would be me sharing my own personal journey about how I got into project management. So today we're getting up close and personal, me sharing a bit of how I got into this space. So no better place to start than right at the beginning. So I won't go to the beginning, but I will start with my qualifications. So one of the things that I talked about last video was whether there are any qualifications that are necessarily a prerequisite for project management or any that disqualify you from project management, and we landed at the answer no. Like there's no limitation. Whatever you've studied, you're probably still good for a career in project management. In my case, I studied electrical engineering, so I have a BSc in electrical engineering, and immediately after college I started focusing. I'd always wanted to be in technology, in IT, so I just started reaching out, applying for and getting into roles in IT, and I started, the typical career progression, starting in IT support, and I really wanted to get a feel of different spaces within IT. So working within, software, working with hardware, working in sales. Even I did a little bit of sales in software, but the space where I spent most of my early career stage phase was in software development. And at the backdrop of that, what I really wanted to do, I was super ambitious. I guess I probably still am. It's just probably a different type of ambition that I have now. I wanted to really quickly climb up the corporate ladder, get into management, and I knew my path was going to be via technology management, but at the end of it I just wanted to be a generic manager. I didn't want to have to be bucketed in technology, so to speak. So that was so in aid of that, I really started just applying for roles that were more and more senior in management. But coupled with that, as I mentioned in the last video, I'm a nerd. I really like to get deep into the details. Like if I'm with the subject matter, get into the theory, understanding all the deep details. So I studied for my MBA as I was working. I didn't take time out of my career for that. And so just to kind of like summarize the kind of roles that I worked in, my first management role was as the managing director of a small IT services firm. And then I moved from there to head up network services for a telecommunications firm. Then I moved to head up IT for a multinational, the local operation, the Zimbabwean operation of a multinational firm in cement manufacturing. So from a career perspective, I was flourishing. I was checking all the boxes that I intended to, and maybe a few more as well. But on the backdrop of that was the really crippling economic situation in Zimbabwe. So anyone who's familiar with Zimbabwe and our economy is that we have experienced multiple phases of hyperinflation over the past 20 or so years, and the mid-2000s were really bad. And so we had to make the really difficult but maybe easy decision to migrate out of Zimbabwe and just kind of like join the great trek of professionals who are leaving Zimbabwe to go and seek better opportunities and a better lifestyle for their families outside of Zimbabwe. So fast forward, to 2008, early 2008, we were now in South Africa, and I was obviously looking for a job. And there I was, looking for the same roles that, I had been working in Zimbabwe, and the South African market was completely different. They had a permitting scenarios for foreigners where you're coming in to plug a very specific skills gap. So that's one thing that was working to my advantage. And I have all of this experience that's not tested in management, and they don't know how that will translate into their own specific environment. So this is me speculating. No one ever really sat me down and said these are not the reasons that we're not offering you this role. So it was very frustrating for me, a very frustrating phase, until I connected with a friend of mine from Zimbabwe who'd been in South Africa a little bit longer, so he knew how to navigate the job market. And we'd also thankfully studied our MBA together, and we'd been working in the technology space together. So he knew what my work experience had been about, and I knew what he was working on. So his suggestion was, have you considered project management? And I was like, well, no, but tell me more. So his rationale, which made a ton of sense, was the work that we were doing in Zimbabwe. If you strip out the people management, the strategic planning, the business development, just kind of like managing strategic business units from end to end, you will see a lot of project management in the work that we were doing, whether it was a software upgrade, whether it was putting together infrastructure. In my software development days, it was a small firm that I worked for. So you wear multiple hats. You are the software developer, you are the tester, you do a lot of project management in there. You do a little bit of marketing and sales when you take your software out to clients and that sort of thing. So there was project management in there. In my telecommunications work, there was a ton of project management there, building out the backbone of nationwide network, and even the last mile links. All of that are projects within themselves. The same thing when I was in IT management, when you're upgrading a whole financial, accounting package software, that's a project. When you are rolling out a new network segment, that's a project in itself. So that was my aha moment. I was like, okay, yeah, that's definitely experience that I can claim. So that was how I transitioned into project management, and the rest, as they say, is history. So my first project management with a formal project manager title, prior to that, I think I can claim about 4 years out of those 8 years of my, until I moved to South Africa, as being like solid project management. And my first formal project management role was within academia, managing a software development project for a health information system for the management of HIV and AIDS treatment and research. And then from there, I moved to a project management role within financial services with a big multinational firm, managing big complex projects. As it is with these multinationals, you're working across continents, across teams, and to add to the complexity, you've got vendors in there, you've got business partners, depending on what project it is. And then because it's financial services, there's always a regulator in the mix. So very interesting times. And I've since gone to work with for 2 other financial services firms. So financial services seems to now be my comfort zone and my sweet spot. I've worked in real estate technology as well. So very varied, very interesting. And that kind of helps with, it not becoming monotonous, because every project is different. And so it kind of keeps things interesting, so to speak. And one other element that I touched on in the previous video was certifications. And I mentioned that certifications are not necessarily a prerequisite for you getting into the field, but they are definitely, once you decide that you want to be a project manager and you have amassed a little bit of experience, they definitely do work to your advantage. One, on a personal level, where you become more confident in, your grasp of the body of knowledge of project management. And it's also a really good thing to have in terms of your resume. When employers look at your resume and they see that you are certified with a recognized project management body, it just adds to your attractability, or it adds to your being a more attractive candidate. Let me put it that way. That sounds so much better. So certifications, definitely recommend them when you get into the field itself. Qualifications in project management, they're not a prerequisite necessarily, and even when you are practicing, they don't, a lot of employers don't necessarily look at a qualification in project management. But as I said, I really like to get into the details and understand the subject matter. So I studied for an MSc in project management as well, but by no means is it a requirement if you're looking at that and you're already within the field itself. So that is my journey. Very interesting, shared how it started and how it's going right now. I'm really happy to be in this field. Like I enjoy seeing things from start to finish. That whole thing about, if you're driven by seeing the end goal, then project management is for you. And I found that to be a big driver for me, to be able to say, oh, I took this project from here to here. We started in ideation when this thing looked like it was not even possible. And here we are months later, sometimes years later, and we have the product. So that's very satisfying. It's a huge lever for organizational success, I find it. So my personal experience has been very fulfilling. So hope this video was useful for you. And again, if you like this video, please click the like button. If you find the content that I share on this channel to be useful, click the subscribe button. That way you get notified each time I put out a new video. And on that note, I'll say goodbye, and till next video, do take care.